I'm working on my 1977 D100. I call it the brown pickup, and I'm making some modifications, including swapping from the stock 727 automatic transmission to an A518 overdrive. Now, the 518 is a lot longer, so I'm going to need a shorter drive shaft. The drive shaft here that's just way too long. And what I'm going to do is explain how I figure out what I need to tell a drive shaft shop exactly so I can communicate what needs to be done. This drive shaft needs to be shortened to 48 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to show you exactly how I determined that. Now, first of all, you've got to figure out what U-joints you're going to use, and that depends on the yoke at the transmission and at the rear end. So this is a 7290, it's the heavy duty U-joint. The smaller one's a 7260. First of all, notice I've got the truck on the ground, and the drive shaft length that you measure is going to vary if the suspension's on full droop or full compression or on the ground. I've already checked at full droop, and the way it moves will depend on the spring configuration in the vehicle or the trailing arms if it's a coil spring car. But this thing, as it droops, the drive shaft or the rear end actually moves forward, which is counterintuitive, but that's what it does. So I can take a measurement with it on the ground. I know that at full droop, it's going to move in about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, the first thing I did was put the yoke into the transmission. I slid it all the way in until it bottomed, and then I pulled it out exactly 1 1/4 inch. That'll give me 1 1/4 inch travel in as the drive shaft or rear end moves forward as the suspension travels. So that's set. Now it's really simple. I want to take a measurement from the center of the yoke here to the center of the yoke at the rear end back there. And I have 48 3/4, just like I wrote on the drive shaft. So there you go. And now I'm going to tell you why I use that as my reference. Center of where the U-joint cup's going to be on the rear end, and center of the eye right here on the yoke. There's a lot of different ways you can reference the drive shaft length. Sometimes you'll measure from the end of the output shaft on the transmission, but I go from the center of the yoke at the rear U-joint to the center of the yoke at the front U-joint. And the reason is this distance can never change. So you might have a different yoke with a different stick out, or the yoke might bottom sooner on one yoke versus another. This is kind of like at least a variable. But this to this is no variable, and you'll get it right every single time.